welcome Mr. Vasudevan Raghavan onto the stage. Vasudevan Raghavan is an IT professional who is passionate about the Sanskrit language and specializes in tracing the origin of the Sanskrit language and its evolution through human history as a representative text on science, philosophy, technology and Dharma.
Herr Vasudevan Raghavan wird uns über den Ursprung und die Entwicklung der ältesten Sprache, Sanskrit, belehren.
Hello, good evening everybody. I would first like to thank the Hindu Verein for organizing this great program here on this day. It's, I think, very important for the Hindu society to have such an event. And actually this speech was to be presented by my husband, Mr. Vasudevan Raghavan, but since he could not be here today, I'm going to be humbly presenting this to you. We start with a short video by Mr. Vasudevan here, and then I'll take over. Thank you.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, those who are gathered here in this historical meet that is being organized to celebrate the Hindu culture and to proudly showcase to Frankfurt city, Germany and to the rest of the world the rich heritage that our Hindu culture has to offer to the rest of mankind. It gives me immense pleasure to present before you the glory of a language that has been at the foundation of our ancient civilization and which has kept all Hindus united as a cultural entity and as a contiguous society in spite of being spread across a vast span of several thousand square kilometers. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers of this Hindu Sammelan and especially Sri Biju Nair and Sri Vinod Balakrishnan for inviting me to deliver the speech before you and to serve the cause of Hindu culture in a small way. I will attempt to showcase for you, to the extent my limited knowledge permits, the essential significance of the Sanskrit language for the Hindu civilization, to elaborate on the need to protect and to support the strength of this language, and to emphasize the true implications of the survival of this language to the Hindu identity and to the Hindu cause.
So now, since Mr. Vasudevan could not be here, we have made a small PowerPoint presentation which I would like to present before you. Here we are going to be talking about the language Sanskritam, its significance, its implications, and the conservation of the language. Next slide. We start with the glory of Sanskritam. Sanskritam was called the Deva Bhasha. It's actually derived from two words, Samyuk and Kritam. Samskriti, as we all know, it means culture. So apart from being a language, Sanskrit is also a word that stands for perfection, refinement, and being cultured. And it's indeed a very perfect language. It has, the language offers us a rich treasure of text which helps mankind achieve perfection, and it reveals to us the true values of life. It also holds the key to several important revelations about the true nature of this world. And we are going to be showing you the contributions that this language has offered to us. We are going to see many contributions that our ancestors have left behind for us, the rich legacy that we have within our Hindu society in the various fields of science, technology, health, politics. The list is endless. We'd like to present you a few of them here. First, we start with the cultural and literary significance of Sanskrit. Now, we all know that the literature of any language works as an ambassador to that language, and it draws people from across the world to learn the language and its literature. You know, we've all heard of Shakespeare, William Wordsworth, Thomas Jefferson, and many other famous writers. They have made the English language famous. Likewise, we also have many authors from the Sanskrit language who have created monumental epics in Sanskrit, and they are relevant even today for their message as well as their beauty and style. You know, Kalidasa, Bhatrahari, Valmiki, Vedavyasa, Adi Shankara Bhagavad-pada, Vidyaranya, Vedanta Desikam. These are a few names that we all know. And the epics, you know, Valmiki's Ramayana, Vedavyasa's Mahabharatam, they are like pillars of our Hindu culture. The historical significance. You know, India, the land of Hindus, is the most ancient surviving civilization, and it dates back to nearly 12,000 plus years. The Hindu civilization, it flourished on the banks of the river Sindhu, Saraswati, and later spread to the Gangetic plains, and then much later to the peninsular India. It's amazing that at one point of time, India stretched from Syria in the west to Cambodia, Sumatra, Java in the east and southeast. In fact, you know, one of the world's largest temples in the world today, it stands at Angkor Wat in Cambodia, but of course today it is it's a Buddhist temple. And India always has long had a tradition of transmitting its history orally and not through written records. You know, it is for this reason that you don't find many written artifacts relating to the very early periods of its history. Therefore, you should look for very authentic historical information only through orally transmitted literature. Now, the four Vedas, we all know, you know, the Rig, Yajur, Sama and Atharvana Vedas, and the Upanishads, the Smritis, the Puranas and the Itihas, they all belong to the part of the oral tradition of our history and culture. You know, as Hindus, you know, which other civilization can boast of such a rich history of 12,000 plus years? The Western world is, you know, proudly proclaiming its glorious past through the propagation of the history of the early Roman empires, the Greek civilization, and the more recent conquests around the world. We Indians should definitely take pride in the culture and character of our forefathers and the society that they lived in. We have rich contributions from our ancestors in the field of maths and science too. Some of them are listed here. If you take the decimal system and the place value system, they're very important ones without which the modern mathematics would have been impossible. Then we have the concepts of zero and infinity. You know, you could go on and on and on and on. It's now an acknowledged fact that much of what is known to the Western world as the Arab contribution to maths are actually Indian contributions which found their way to Europe through the Arabs who were then trading with India. We know of Bhaskara and Aryabhatta. Now, Aryabhatta actually had postulated that the earth was a globe and it revolved around the sun, and he had even calculated the circumference of the earth very accurately. And you can say that Aryabhatta's calculation was far more accurate and predates Ptolemy's calculation of the size of the earth, and his calculations was based on a flat earth concept. You know, Aryabhatta at his time said that the earth was a globe. Yeah? And then in astronomy also we have several contributions. You know, there's one point that I would like to mention here. The Western world actually thought the time to be linear, and it was our ancestors who told us that the time is cyclic, and it is now that the scientists agree that the evolution of the universe is cyclic with the Big Bang theory. The Big Bangs occurring every once in a trillion years or so, and each one accompanied by creation of new matter and radiation that forms new galaxies, stars, planets, and presumably our life. We Indians, we knew this from the 4 yugas, the Satya Yuga, the Dwapara Yuga, the Treta Yuga, and now the Kali Yuga, and the scientists agree that this is the most recent cycle now. Now, in politics, economy, and society, you can see our ancestors have left behind here also rich legacies. They have given us practical handbooks for the politicians and administrators and common people alike. Now, instead of neglecting these treasures in our own backyard and looking to the best for guidance on even small things related to political doctrine, psychology, family management, etc., if our elite politicians, the role models of our society, and even common people alike could care to read the Arthashastra, the Viduraniti, and many other such perennial sources of knowledge, our society, our political landscape, and our very nation will wear a completely different look. Don't you agree? Now, our significance with regard to health, the significance of Sanskrit with regard to our health, diet, and lifestyle. Many speakers before me had also explained the importance of Vedanta in a Hindu's life, and we even had a couple of Germans talk to us about yoga. They made us do some yogasanas here, and we all felt refreshed and re-energized. But today, if we see, we have a lot of lifestyle-related issues, health issues, mental, psychological issues also. And I think we should all get back to our Upanishads and get back to our roots and try to live a life, and we can all live with a sound mind and a sound body. The medicine also, the field of medicine also, we have the Ayurveda. It has a rich treasure house knowledge on indigenous herbs and medicinal plants. We had the great surgeon Sushruta, who had lived around 600 BC, and he is supposed to have contributed in the fields of rhinoplasty, also called the plastic surgery, and ophthalmic surgery, which is called the removal of cataracts. He has written a very detailed book called Sushruta Samhita, where he has explained, he has given great details. He has explained all the procedures step by step. And surprisingly, these steps followed by Sushruta are strikingly similar to those followed by modern surgeons today while doing the plastic surgeries. Next we have the Upanishads. I gave a brief about the Upanishads, and by following Karma Yoga, which is actually talked about in great detail in the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita also, by following Karma Yoga, even the common man can also, the Grahastha as we call, they can also avoid a lot of ethical and moral conflicts that they encounter along their way. And now coming to the scientific point of view, this is quite interesting here. Apart from providing answers in the spiritual and the philosophical realm, the Upanishads also discuss about 2 topics which are very close to the heart of modern scientists. The one is the theory of everything, or the Big Bang theory, which we all know of, and the other one is the true nature of the consciousness. The Upanishads have explained these 2 concepts about thousands and thousands of years ago. If only we have the humility and the vision to read the Upanishads, and we can understand the world better. And if only we had taken care of the Sanskrit language and kept the Upanishads and their teachings as our mainstream knowledge system, we would have had the leadership position in the sphere of abstract science and philosophy. Now, it's a sad fact that we have all neglected the Sanskrit language. Now let us see some of the implications. Now, how many of us would have believed that, until the 1600s, India was among the richest nation in the world and had about 50% and had accounted for 50% of the world's GDP. Our historians, instead of accessing the available literature in Sanskrit and other Indian languages and trying to learn firsthand about our history, these historians have been taking the shortcut by regurgitating and parroting the falsified history written by foreigners and mostly in English. And today we have a lot of distortions in our history. One famous example would be the Aryan invasion theory, which now stands vindicated. Yeah, it just didn't happen. And another canard that is being spread is that, the Bharatvarsh was always ruled by foreigners, and so the Hindus had no skills to govern themselves. And we see a very negative portrayal of Shivaji Maharaj and many other brave warriors like Rana Sanga, Rana Pratap, Prithviraj Chauhan. They are all only given a cursory mention or completely ignored in our history books. Yeah? And the glorification and the focus on the Muslim rulers during the period between 1000 AD and 1800 AD. We have a complete blacking out of the atrocities of the Muslim rulers during this period, and this period of their rule is being portrayed as the golden era of the Indian history. Madhura Vijayam, a work in Sanskrit, talks about the atrocities of the Muslim sultans. You have other significant works also listed here. In today's world, the Hindu Dharma, as we all can agree, is under constant attack in our own homeland. A whole host of forces inimical to Dharma are at work. They are trying and sadly succeeding in denying to us Hindus our rightful place in the political, historical and cultural space of the Bharatvarsh. And they are also dividing the Hindu society along the lines of caste and inciting hate and fissure among the children of Bharatamata. And we know that there are many scientists exploiting the knowledge of Ayurveda and patenting several traditional Ayurvedic treatments and methods. Yeah? True, in the prevailing situation, Indians and Hindus think that they have very little to be proud of, having been enslaved for almost 1,000 years by foreign rulers and rendered poor and destitute through systematic looting and destruction of our society and culture. Our present situation had led to a false belief that India had always been backward and underdeveloped country, and that Hindus are somehow culturally backward, and that for these reasons we have a lot to be ashamed of. We just saw the rich contributions that the Sanskrit language had offered us, and we also saw the sorry state of India, the Hindus, or the history that we read and hear today. Isn't it time that we did something about it? I think we need to revive the Sanskrit language, and we now show you why it is important in today's context. Intellectual property rights. Yeah, we need to protect the language, the knowledge of the Ayurveda. We need to prevent the plagiarism of the worst kind. It is our duty and responsibility to protect the wealth and legacy that the mother of our languages has offered us. Is it not our duty to strongly re-establish the Hindu and Vedic roots of yoga when we hear secular yoga or the Christian yoga? How many of you know that we Indians had to fight and win patent cases for turmeric, tulsi, neem, just to name a few? By understanding our true history, we can be proud of the culture and glory of the Dharma and remove any false notions that we may have regarding our culture and history. Now to summarize, if we Indians, we Hindus, studied this body of knowledge and sincerely stood by it, practiced every line of it, we will be a very different nation. Ours will be a very dharmic country. We can rid our country of all corruption and scam and other evils that currently plague us. We can achieve pinnacles of development and progress. In fact, this is exactly what Swami Vivekananda had attempted to do in his short span of life. Yeah, this is the short PowerPoint presentation that we had prepared, and the entire speech of Vasudevan Ravan has been uploaded in the website of Hindu Verein, and anybody who's interested can either get in touch with me or write to Vasudevan or contact the Hindu Verein for more details. We just continue with a short video. Okay. Thanks a lot for your patience.